Blessings, namaste, and love, everyone. I am spiritualist, psychic astrologer, and medium Sette. Once again, I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share with you my astrological and spiritual insights. And in this segment, we are looking to the month of April 2023. We're already in April. A third of the year has already passed us by, and as always, we do suggest and inspire you to just be very present and to be very much in the moment. So much seems to be advancing and progressing so very quickly. We're getting caught up in all that we need to do in our daily responsibilities, whatever that might be. And with all of that, certainly be mindful to allow yourself to be very present and in the moment. You know, with astrology, we're always looking ahead. We're looking to see what is coming. Or rather, we look to see the potential of what is to come. And I'm always suggesting to recognize that the future is very much in the here and now. And in this moment, we are creating what is to come next. And certainly that is one of the many reasons we employ astrology to help us, to assist us in navigating this human encounter. Remember, astrology is a tool. These alignments, the planets, the signs, they are tools, opportunities that are presented to us. And how we choose to craft this energy is really up to us, very much based on our free will. That said, we begin April with a full moon on April 6th. The exact time of the full moon is 12:34 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Now this full moon, it's in the sign of Libra. The moon is in Libra, the sun is in Aries. But that Libra moon is the most elevated element in the chart cast for the full moon for the United States. And it's very much energizing the Libra quality, specifically the element of balance. You know, remember, a full moon energizes, it amps up everything that's going on in our lives. With the moon, the full moon in Libra, we are very much offered the opportunity to recognize perhaps where is there imbalance, disharmony in our lives. And with the full moon energies, we may become very much aware of those imbalances so that we have the opportunity to correct them. Libra also represents nature in the natural world. You know, we are offered so much information from nature and the natural elements. For those familiar with the Tao Te Ching, which was written by Lao Tzu, so much of those philosophies, if not all of those philosophies, really are based on what we observe, which occurs in nature. So many lessons can be learned from nature. And remember, we are very much part of nature. So all of that is very much within ourselves. And the most prominent opportunity that we can observe from nature is certainly the blessings of creating balance. Nature will always innately create a balance where there is imbalance, only to correct the discord. And we very much have the opportunity to do just that. Whenever there is an imbalance, we always have the opportunity to correct that. So at this Libra full moon, allow yourself to recognize perhaps where is there an imbalance that needs to be corrected, and have the courage to really employ the tools so that you can certainly correct that discord. You know, the full moon also forms an opposition with Jupiter. Jupiter just moved into the sign of Aries. And with that, Jupiter will always, Jupiter brings about abundance, but I also emphasize that when we address abundance, abundance pertains and is really present in all things, including lack. We can certainly, sometimes we inadvertently create an abundance of lack. And again, when we're not aware of what we're projecting, the thoughts we're projecting, and we're miscreating an opportunity or an experience rather that may not necessarily be what we truly desire. But what I'm suggesting at this full moon to perhaps also recognize where you may have created abundance in manners that are not necessarily serving a greater purpose for you. For example, inadvertently creating an abundance of lack. You see how that works there? So allow yourself the courage to really recognize what you may have been miscreating, and then remember and recognize that you have the power to correct that. The imbalance, the presence of imbalance is very much present at this full moon so that we can correct it. Also, because the full moon is in the sign of Libra, we're also given an opportunity to once again awaken to our connection with nature and the natural world. So many blessings are available to us when we are in nature, and we allow ourselves to be surrounded by those natural elements, especially the blessings of healing and correcting imbalances. You know, if you're ever feeling just energetically slimed in whatever form that might be, allow yourself to just be very present and outside in nature. Surround yourself with nature. Sit by a tree, sit by the ocean, and just breathe the air. Feel the earth vibrations. You know, I believe it was a quote from Archangel Michael that said, "Spirit will guide you and the earth will sustain you." All that we need so to sustain ourselves and really enjoy this human encounter is very much given to us from the earth. We're not always taught to recognize that, and sometimes we're not always respectful of Gaia. So we are given an opportunity at this full moon also to recognize that the earth very much is our Mother Earth, and very much lovingly, freely provides and gives us and offers us so many, many, many blessings. So perhaps at this full moon, we might maybe dedicate a little bit of time to really honoring the earth and the many blessings that we receive from the earth. And also recognize that our earth also, because it's a living organism, sometimes it does need its own healing. So perhaps at this full moon, if it resonates with you, allow yourself to perhaps dedicate some time to project love onto our earth, because it very much does need it right now, not only to the physical form of the earth, but to the all of humanity. And Libra, because it's ruled by the planet Venus, also has a great connection with love as well. So perhaps we always hear the importance of self-love. So perhaps at this full moon, if for whatever reason you're not allowing yourself to enjoy that experience of self-love, perhaps employ the energy of this full moon to awaken to that love that is already present and very much available to you, that is within yourself. Now we are in an eclipse season. I did touch upon it in the last video. And on April 20th, we have a total solar eclipse, and it is in the sign of Aries. Now, as I've always mentioned, right before a new moon, the solar eclipse, which is a new moon, it's a prominent, significant new moon. A few days before the new moon every month, we have what is known as the balsamic moon phase, which offers us the opportunity to energetically prepare for the coming lunar cycle. Now, the balsamic moon in April begins on April 16th, and that's at 2:07 p.m. That begins the last phase of the lunar cycle. Now, because our next new moon is an eclipse, and I've said this, I'm sure I've said this quite often before, that we are given even more time to prepare for what's coming at the solar eclipse. And generally it's about a 3-month window of opportunity. which the January 21st new moon began the process and offered us the opportunity to energetically prepare for the coming eclipse. Now, the eclipse, the solar eclipse, it's a new moon, it's an intensified new moon, so it begins a longer cycle of experience. Generally, a new moon on a month-to-month basis begins a 28-day cycle of experience. And because the solar eclipse is an intensified new moon, it begins a longer cycle of experience. The effects of the eclipse can last 3, 6, 12 some months, but sometimes even years, and it's really dependent upon individually how exact the alignments are forming in our charts. Now, as I'm sure I've mentioned also in the past, that everything astrologically is measured in degrees in minutes. Now, what's extremely prominent with this solar eclipse is that it's located at the very last degree of Aries, is at the 29th degree of Aries. The signs are measured in 30 degrees. That last degree point is what is referred to as the critical degree, and it's a turning point. And because it's an eclipse, it's a prominent turning point. Now, those individuals who have late degree points in their charts could feel these effects a little bit more. Not everyone is going to experience an eclipse in the exact same way. Again, it's dependent upon the alignments and what's being energized in our charts personally. And this is why, we meet privately so we can look specifically at these possibilities. Now, the late degree will always be indicative of significant endings. And as always, whenever we emphasize something that may potentially seem, a little unsettling, it's not to create fear. It's so that we can harness this energy and really make the most of it. As always, remember, whatever is to come, we're creating it all. We are offered these opportunities as creative tools to set in forth, to cast in motion the energies so that we can create that which we desire, but also which serves a greater purpose and a higher purpose for the all and the highest good. That late degree turning point could very much indicate a time of some significant endings. And remember, whenever there's an ending, there is always a brand new beginning, as is indicative of a solar eclipse new moon. Now, we have a total solar eclipse. The eclipse will not be visible in the United States. I believe in parts of Australia the eclipse will be visible, but not here in the United States. But it does not mean that we can't employ its energies and its blessings and cast in motion what we desire. I always suggest to be abundantly aware of all that you're setting in motion energetically through your intentions the day before, the day of, and the day after the eclipse. Whatever is coming together at that eclipse, whatever we're casting in motion, it's going to stay with us for a longer period of time. This is also why we're offered the opportunity of an extended amount of time to energetically prepare for what is coming together, what will be cast in motion at that eclipse, and to recognize what is no longer serving a purpose for us, and to just clear it all away. If you haven't been aware in these last few months what needs to be cleared away, this is the opportunity now. Remember, it's never too late. So perhaps allow yourself to begin the process to recognize what no longer serves a purpose for you anymore, which has been present for many, many years. Sometimes we allow certain conditions, certain elements to stay with us for long periods of time when we are very much aware that they've no longer served a purpose. And we are at this eclipse, which again, it's a prominent turning point. So it is an opportunity for us to cast in motion what we would desire to experience for longer periods of time. So whatever And whatever, there's really no wrong or right when we're talking about casting the energy in motion. It's really whatever resonates with you, whether it be lighting a candle, dedicating time to meditation. What's significant is the intention, and in those moments, at the moments of the eclipse, to be abundantly clear of the intentions you set in motion. Because if you're creating at the time of the eclipse from a place of confusion, then remember, the universe only reflects back to us what we're putting out there. So we're only going to cast in motion that element of confusion for a longer period of time. Again, another emphasis as to why we're offered a longer extended period of an opportunity to prepare for what is to come next. And I'm always suggesting, in all that you cast in motion, be abundantly aware to infuse it all with pure, unconditional love. Because remember, when we create from that place of love, all that we are creating will serve a greater purpose. Because in those elements, in those creations, there is infused and incorporated those vibrations of love. So we're sending that out to the all of humanity, and it is serving a higher, greater purpose for all concerned. The lunar eclipse we have on May 5th, I will address it in our next video. For now, allow yourself, again, to be very aware of and to be very clear of what you would desire for yourself. Honor what you desire and choose to cast in motion and really employ whatever might be necessary on your part to bring it all to form. Remember, the universe presents us with these tools. It's up to us to create. And with that, we are very much offered the opportunity to experience all that we create. And quite often, sometimes, we miscreate. But with awareness, then we create and set in motion what is in alignment with what it is that we truly desire. Now, also on April 20th, a little bit later on in the day, the sun will move into the sign of Taurus, and that will take place at 4:13 a.m., a little less than 4 hours after the eclipse. With the sun in Taurus, Taurus is the sign that most represents and is connected to abundance. And as I said earlier, sometimes we inadvertently miscreate abundance in the areas of lack. Remember, abundance applies to everything, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. As the sun transits the sign of Taurus, we're given an opportunity to really, one, recognize that every one of us is offered the opportunity to enjoy abundance. We just have to be aware not to miscreate the abundance in the areas that perhaps might not necessarily be in alignment with our desires. You see, Taurus is very much monetarily connected. It represents money, our income. Many times we're not always enjoying abundance monetarily, which could be reflective of many, many things in our lives, many conditions that are not allowing us to create that which we desire in terms of monetary abundance. So as the sun transits the sign of Taurus, we're being offered the opportunity to reflect on all of that. And our, if you will, our relationship we have with anything monetarily, money, currency. There's a reason why money is referred to as currency, because it does have a vibration to it. It's all about vibration. So perhaps let yourself recognize your own personal relationship with currency and anything monetary. And if it's not bringing you what you desire, then have the courage to perhaps change it from that creative level so that you can enjoy all the creature comforts, if you will. We're not, the universe does not desire for any of us to experience lack. Just for whatever reason, we're not always taught to recognize how we inadvertently miscreate lack in our lives, and sometimes we push away many, many blessings that the universe very freely is offering to us. We just have to allow ourselves to be in that moment so that we can receive. One final point, as we go through April, we will be going into our next Mercury retrograde cycle. And again, all the planetary alignments are designed for us to work with the energy. They're not placed as obstacles for us. We experience the obstacles when we're miscreating. Now, Mercury retrograde, Mercury will begin its retrograde phase on April 21st. It will move direct on May 15th. And remember, I always suggest to be aware that not until Mercury moves past the point at which it turned retrograde are we not completely out of those retrograde influences. And that date is May 31st. Mercury moves retrograde April 21st. It turns direct on May 15th. And it's past the retrograde, completely out of the retrograde influences on May 31st. Now, the retrograde is in the sign of Taurus. And just to reiterate what I suggested earlier, use the retrograde time, employ the retrograde time to reflect on your relationship with anything monetarily. Remember, during the retrograde period, we embrace all the RE words. The retrograde, Mercury retrograde specifically, is a time to reflect on many elements of our lives. Many also don't recognize that the Mercury retrograde is a time to receive blessings. You know, sometimes we need to be that transmitter where we're projecting out those intentions, and there are moments where we need to shift gears and receive the blessings of all that we cast in motion. We're not always aware of that opportunity, especially during a Mercury retrograde time frame. You know, again, as I mentioned earlier, how anyone will really experience the cycle on a personal level is dependent upon how it all aligns and it fits into the chart. Not everyone is going to have the same experiences. And as I said, this is why we look and we consult and we meet privately and personally to really address and to see exactly what's occurring, and also to inspire you to recognize that you are the master of your destiny, to embrace the energy and to craft with awareness, create with awareness what you desire. With awareness, we will always create what we truly desire, and we move away from that miscreation opportunity. Mercury retrograde, it's always a time to just step back and slow down. You know, in the sign of Taurus, it is an earth sign. So it's a time to reflect on your connections with the earth, and perhaps surround yourself with the earth elements so that you can keep yourself energetically grounded. If perhaps you've had experiences where you're not as connected as you would like to the earth, it's a time to recharge, reinvigorate that connection that we all have with the elements of the earth. You know, there's a similar theme going on here about nature and the earth, as I just been brought to mind by Spirit. So we cannot emphasize enough the importance of reconnecting with the earth during this retrograde time frame. Once again, everyone, I'm Spiritualist, Psychic Astrologer, and Medium Sette. I thank you for this opportunity. I will be returning very, very soon to the Mystical Moon in both Bonita and in Fort Myers. My first day of sessions is April 17th, and I believe that the first few days my schedule is already filled, but I will be available until May 3rd. Both locations, Bonita and Fort Myers, they have my schedule at the stores. Contact the stores directly, and we will enjoy our time together and look at all these wonderful opportunities that are being presented to all of us. And remember, whatever is to come next, it's up to us, and it's based on our choices and our free wills. Remain in the light and always in a place of love. Namaste. Many blessings, everyone. Be well.